Hi everyone. Just get going on the time. 6 o'clock. I think we got quite a lot of attendees coming now. I'll just give it 1 or 2 seconds and then we can get going. Okay, fantastic. So firstly, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to attend this AMA. I treat it more like a fireside talk in the sense that I will give just a bit of a briefing. I'll give you a bit of, we'll go through a few topics today, and I hope everyone can forgive me if my mind is running a little bit slow. For me, it's quite late in the evening. It's 12 a.m. and I've had a long day. I just got back from Europe as well, visiting the Blocktrade offices in Tallinn and a few other places. It was actually my first time to go to Estonia, so it was very interesting. I've been to most of the places around, but not yet Estonia. So yeah, my name is Sam. I'm just recently become a director of Blocktrade SA in Luxembourg, and today I'm in this fireside talk. I hope I'll be sharing some information with you guys. I know it's been a while since there's been communication from Blocktrade, and there are many people, I'm sure, anxious and trying to understand what is going on behind the scenes. Also, of course, there's going to be a lot of people that were interested and have been involved in the project right from the beginning and great supporters of the project that want to know the future and like to see what they can do to participate more or support the project itself. So it seems like we've started for a few minutes, so I'm sure you guys are sick of seeing my face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin with my presentation. So hopefully this is going to work fine. Got some nice people here from our team to support me on this, and I'll get going. If there's any issue with this, hopefully someone will tell me. Okay, so here we are. I've used some slightly more colorful slides because I like color. And this is a summer 2024 fireside talk. It's hosted by me, Sam Tan, director of Blocktrade SA, and we are here to share some information. I'm going to go through our agenda, and it's going to be a very simple. I'm hoping to get everything done in 25 minutes. I'm going to be just giving a bit of a background on myself, a current update on Blocktrade, a future for Blocktrade, operational plans, business areas, and sort of what's next, what's the immediate next kind of steps. And in this kind of process, I wanted to leave more time for Q&A. So who am I? If you're not sick of seeing me already, you can see I'm here. Some pictures of me just recently. I at a talk as well, and at opening of one of our offices here in Malaysia. So I'm based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I was born in Penang, which is an island to the north of Malaysia with a relatively small population, around about 1 million people. If you'd like to add me to LinkedIn, my QR code is there, and currently I'm based, in quite a few different places. Besides having joined as the director of Blocktrade, my day-to-day role is the CEO, CFO, and director of a company called Bionexus Gene Lab Corporation. We're listed on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange in the US under the code BGLC. And basically what we do is that we have a biotechnology diagnostic system, as well as we do health technology and technology in general. So information technology as included. I'm also chairman of FSR Group, and FSR Group basically stands for FinTech or Financial Silk Road Group, and this is based in Asia. And you'll probably, through the course of our discussions, you'll understand a little bit more about what that's all about. I've been involved in computer science since 1992, Web3 since probably about 2014, maybe a little bit earlier. And together with some of my guys, we developed MMO or massively multiplayer online game servers since '97. My background has always been in private equity and investment banking, but I deal with a lot of things related to corporate governance, running of companies properly and transparently and professionally. That's my professional job, as you can see, and that's my role as the chief executive of a publicly listed company. So, jumping forward, what this is all about, basically I give a current update. A lot of people have been asking. I saw some questions that were posted inside the group chat. I've tried to join the group chats about a week ago, I think, just before I came to Europe, and well, obviously now I'm back in Malaysia. I held an AMA with some of the ambassadors in the Blocktrade sort of sphere, and that was for the purpose of getting to know everyone. That was just as I was we were doing some evaluations and things like that. And what I've done is that as part of what I do in my business, which, as I mentioned, is private equity investment banking, is that I've come to Blocktrade, and we're currently in a very advanced evaluation and sort of resolution to seeing what we can do with Blocktrade going forward. As part of that, that's why I've joined the board, so that I have been able to get a better understanding of how the company works and sort of what the valuation, sorry, not valuation, but what the value of the business is, where there could be some fantastic synergies and what we can do going forward. This has been part of my role as the chairman of the FSR group. And basically, the FSR group is as I mentioned, a financial or fintech Silk Road, it stands for. And what it's all about is connecting the three key areas that were part of the old days Silk Road. That's Asia, Middle East, and Europe. This generated massive amounts of the current infrastructure wealth that we exist and live with today. There was massive trade of all kinds of commodities, labor, technology, knowledge, and many other things that happened during that time, which laid the foundation for the advanced world that we live in today. So currently what we are doing is that from the financial or fintech side of things, we operate in Asia and also in the US. So and in the US, I'm also, if you saw the picture just earlier, I'm also a promoter and co-sponsor with one, probably the number one investment bank in New York called Maxim Group. Maxim Group, and when I say number one, I mean in the bracket. So we're talking in US below $1 billion companies. And now, I mean, we're looking closely into Europe, and I myself have been doing business in Europe for a very long time. So I see this as one of the opportunities. Our network spans throughout US, Middle East, Asia, and for myself as well, Europe as well. I own a couple of companies in Europe and specifically Spain. I'm involved in pharmaceuticals, life sciences, many other things there. So I'm very familiar with Europe. I speak a few of the Romance languages, or at least I can understand enough to know when someone's saying bad things to me. I've traveled extensively throughout Europe, pretty much every part of Europe, including Eastern Europe, Central Asia, Eurasia, everywhere. So we try to bring this kind of network and strategic partnerships to what we do. And we, as far as the future leadership is concerned of Blocktrade, basically we're evaluating carefully what would be the best fit for a company like Blocktrade, which is very, very much community driven. I was amazed to see how I think still is the record for the largest crowdfunding effort ever done in Luxembourg, and Luxembourg is obviously one of the largest financial centers in Europe. And this was very interesting for us. So it shows that this fantastic community of which I'm sure many of you were part of that, came and contributed to this amazing project and brought it to where it's today. So part of what we're doing, again, as an update as to what this whole situation is, I know there's been little bits and pieces of information here and there. It's that we're evaluating and trying to see what we can build for the future, as well as, of course, there's been some questions on investment and things like that. Basically, one of the key things which I do is I use our network, I use our capabilities in corporate governance, in corporate finance, understanding of capital markets. And when I say capital markets, I mean large equity markets like America, in Asia, and see how we can evaluate a potential building up of Blocktrade. Who knows? Maybe in the future, I may join Blocktrade in a much more executive capacity. I am very busy at the moment, though, so we'll see what to do. But we have a great team of people and large pool of talent to choose from when it comes to this. So I sort of want to talk a little bit about what we've seen so far and what we see as the future for Blocktrade itself, through my assessment. And I like to think I'm pretty good at reviewing these types of things. And what I saw was actually a fantastic foundation for a financial institution. I mean, if you talk about crypto exchanges, of course, there's fantastic one, which is Blocktrade here. But to be fair, I think that there's quite a lot of crypto exchanges. So to try and to sort of make yourself stand out. And one of the things is that's fantastic about Blocktrade is that's a regulated crypto exchange. So because you're regulated, you really want to be tapping into business that is related to that makes all of the compliance, all of the how to say potentially missed opportunities worth it. So what we see is a fantastic foundation for a financial institution. And I myself don't believe that any real financial institution exists yet in the crypto space. But if you think about it, right now, Coinbase, which is the only so-called large transparent crypto exchange, it's bigger than even the NASDAQ as far as the company is concerned, right? Coinbase is currently worth around about 50 billion. NASDAQ's worth about 40 billion. So that shows you that crypto has a massive future, and it's the only one, by the way. So I see that like if we, as we all believe, cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology are going to be a basis for the future, basis of how we do business in the future, basis of how we do lives in the future. Obviously, they're going to be definitely the JP Morgans or Citibanks of the world, UBS's, well, I won't say Credit Suisse because Credit Suisse is in pretty bad shape, but basically those types of institutions going forward in the future. The idea and what I can see is that you really have to be then productive, very precise, efficient, and practical. And these are qualities I think are very well embodied in Asia and are taken really far in the US as well. So these are the types of things that I live and breathe every day. I'm a very operational person. I think I like to think I'm very professional, very transparent. I have to be. Everything that I do is scrutinized by committees, board members, the SEC, which is the most litigious regulator in the world, which also has put so many crypto people in jail. All of this that I do is open every day for people to see. So these are things that we just don't talk about, but we have to live and breathe. And I think I saw someone, I can't remember who, but made a comment on in the Telegram, like, oh, it's crypto, what do you expect? This is the type of attitude I think that you really need to wipe out from the crypto space. I think that a lot of projects are just completely nonsense in the crypto space, especially Web3. I have seen very, very few projects that have real world use cases. So, I think in the future, you really need to be able to have those. And I think Blocktrade is a fantastic opportunity and a foundation for that. The other thing that I find that's very lacking in the the financial institution space, especially in crypto. It's professional and reliable services, both online and OTC. So when you use a bank in general in your life, and I know we're always talking about decentralization and things like that, but there are very many cases and very many times when we really want a centralized system, and obviously Blocktrade is a centralized exchange. There are very few, if any, online institutions that deal with crypto that also have offline or OTC that you can actually probably go to the office and know where they are or call them on the phone. Just does not exist. So I see that there's a gap of this. I see this gap, and this is probably digressing a little bit, because what's going to happen, I think, in the future, a lot of people have said like AI is going to replace all of the people. There's people not going to have jobs anymore. People are not going to meet each other anymore. And I actually think it's the opposite. Usually what happens, if we study history, we find that the opposite of what we think will happen will happen. So in the case of AI, I think that probably in 2 or 3 years' time, you're never going to be able to trust having an online conversation with anyone, because you don't know who you're really talking to, who you're seeing. And so everything is going to start going back face to face. And this is, I think, just a massive untapped opportunity, because most of the people that are in crypto space, they've never run a real business before. They've never behaved in a transparent manner before. Basically, they're just like, thinking about the next rug that they're going to pull. So I think there's just a really fantastic opportunity for that Blocktrade has built itself over these years with a good foundation for this. So I see this as something that we can build that can last a few generations. Look at those major exchanges that that have existed in crypto, FTX or whatever. These things can't even last 2 years or 3 years or whatever big. I think people in this Web3 space have to think about building for future generations. So the other things that we've seen are the operational potential. So there's a lot of potential in synergies, integration with our other group operations in IT, financial, and management themselves. Obviously, I'm involved in many of those. And we also see that there's a fantastic opportunity to access to the Silk Road markets, as I mentioned, the Asia, Middle East, and Europe. One of the things is, as I mentioned before, being productive, being very efficient. These types of things, I think, we can bring to the table, and there are things that even as a board member, I've been working on, and I'm very interested to see how we can meld these types of advances together, or this type of efficiency together, so that people can benefit on both sides, and not only the benefit from these operational things, but the vision, the ideas. So I like to think that Asia is very advanced in many ways. It's more advanced even than the US. I mean, definitely infrastructure-wise. I hope that one day, and I was thinking about this, I spoke about this earlier to a few people, that we should make a Blocktrade conference in Asia, and I'd like to charter a few planes and get everyone over here in Asia. We can all meet up, visit our office, and have a nice conference, something like that. I think that these are really fantastic opportunities, and access to the different markets really brings another dimension to what we do, because not only are we supposed to increase the value of our services, not just have more services for any whatsoever reason, but also increase the number of people or the markets that we can access. So in this whole situation, I've divided actually the business areas into 2 main parts, and I've done this because in my experience, there are not enough platforms in IT nowadays. Ever since I guess you can blame this on Apple, where they made everything into an application. I think we got to look at things as platforms and applications. Applications can't do everything a platform can do, and without applications, platforms are not very efficient. So as a platform, I see really good opportunities, and Blocktrade needs to embrace projects. It needs to embrace bringing new things onto the table, and it needs to go into areas where in the past, I think it was more inward focused. So we're going to use our connections and our support to go outward focused. Number two, we see just really a fantastic opportunity between Asia and Europe for trade facilitation. There are many things that blockchain technology can really help with when it comes to trade facilitation, including things that are beyond just payments. For example, I know a lot of people think about payments. Probably even blockchain is not the most efficient for payments, honestly speaking. But other areas of trade facilitation, especially with all the new laws. I've spoken about the carbon border adjustment tax happening in Europe, certifications. Anyone that's ever done any business import export knows all about this. I think this is just a really fantastic opportunity. As I mentioned also, the situation with the financial institution, I think that there are definitely lacking in general all over the world custodian services for crypto, in the sense that, you know, if you think about a bank, let's say 20 years ago, you think about a big vault where, you know, there's gold and cash and all these types of things. I think what's happened is that in crypto, this sort of situation is lacking. And there are really, as the market matures, really very many good use cases for this. There are many times where you do not want to be in custody of your own crypto assets. I can think of so many, and this is where I kind of feel that it's lacking not only for users but for businesses as well. So I see this as just really a fantastic opportunity, and especially when you have a regulated, established exchange like Blocktrade. I think this is just an area that is waiting to be explored. Of course, if you talk about traditional crypto people, they just wouldn't have any clue about what all this means. I think this is also a very niche market that is, I would think, perhaps something that not a lot of people are looking at. The other thing we're talking about is applications. So we're very interested in the payment systems, and we're talking about payments not only locally, but also throughout. So that could be person-to-person payment, business-to-person payment. It could be business-to-business payments. I think that there's a lot of space where a custodian or a regulated financial institution can really help with when it comes to this. Especially when the store of wealth no longer is fiat. So I'll just tap on this one a little bit. I know I've going over a little bit more time than I expected, but basically what happens is, like in the past, you might think, oh well, Bitcoin is let's say digital gold, and it's transferring and things like this. But if there is no more fiat, or fiat is completely or devalued in that sense, then crypto, you may not want to move it around as much, just like you don't want to move gold around. And you may not want to move it around even on a layer 2 or any of things like this. You want other people to custodian and do that. And I think that's where really good financial institutions can step in. I come from a traditional finance and banking world, and I can still see many areas where traditional finance does it much better than DeFi or Web3. Moving on to that, I think wealth management is just an opportunity that no one touches well right now. And this spans across decentralized finance, traditional finance products like stock market, anything like that, and also real world assets, so custodian. So what's happened is blockchain technology, tokenization has really allowed us to touch on real world assets. And I feel that this is, again, a great business opportunity for someone like Blocktrade. And going forward, I think as an application, really people want aggregators for all of their subscriptions and things like that you pay in your life, because what's happening is that we're going into a very granular kind of future. Everything is by subscription, and this is by both design and convenience. And I think that one kind of platform to manage that, and across, you know, people that travel all over the world, and using different currencies and things like this, I think there's just like really massive opportunity. Finally, and I'll stop boring all of you guys now. You may have guessed from some of the things that I mentioned earlier. One of the things that we really would try to look at is to be the first publicly traded European-based and regulated crypto exchange, building into becoming a financial institution for the future. And obviously, what this is going to result in is really enhance liquidity and shareholder value for Class B shareholders. I mean, as I mentioned just before, Coinbase is still 50 billion. Obviously they're very large, but that this is potential. I think they grew large because they had this kind of vision. And I guess I'm, as being a person who has conducted or been a part of many IPOs in the real world capital markets, I think this is one of the fantastic opportunities for wealth building and also generating value for the shareholders. I would really like to talk about this more in the future. I wanted to just take a first step to get to know the community. Of course, everything is still kind of fluid right now, in the sense that, as I mentioned, we come in evaluations and we're looking at what the potential is. But this is definitely one of the very, very doable things. As I mentioned on the first one or two slides, I'm currently the CEO of a Nasdaq listed company, so there's nothing scary about this for me whatsoever. So probably after this, I'll make some questions or some discussion inside one of our chats. Anyone can feel free to reach out to me at any time, and really we can start pushing this forward if that's something that the community would like to see. So that's it. I hit the mark, I think 25 minutes exactly for my presentation. So that's something like a Swiss watch. So yeah, we're just going to do a Q&A, closing remarks, and yeah, we'll spend probably about another half an hour. I can answer your questions or anything along those lines. So thank you very much. I'm just going to stop sharing the slides now, and we'll go into that. So I think the moderators now will go through and any of your questions or anything like this, and we can have a look through this. Okay, I'm going to read them one by one, and then we can take it from there. Okay, the first one, Vlatko, can we have information about new Class A share owner? Basically, the current situation, and I'm just going through all of the questions. I mean, I think I like to be a very transparent person. I deal with analysts and investors all the time, so I'm going to try and go through. If I cannot answer something, I will tell you. So from Vlatko, can we have information about the new Class A share owner? Currently, some of these details are under NDA, but you can probably guess by my presence here that there is some involvement from myself and my company. So that gives you a sort of a background and a basis for this. Previously, we spoke about I think there was some discussions about another group coming to the table. I cannot comment on that, but I know that I'm a person that's really in this space right now. So what can we expect, Anonymous? What can we expect to happen in Blocktrade in the next 3 months? Well, what will happen is what the community will first allow and support. So basically, one of the main parts of this is that we're trying to open these lines of communication, make transparency to this whole thing, and reflect in the management, hopefully, what the community would like to do. I think I've reviewed some of the things that I see the good potentials for Blocktrade are in the next, I wouldn't say particularly 3 months or next while. I would like to see, of course, getting together of the community and supporting, and if, let's say, the community is interested in our vision towards becoming a publicly traded company, this is one of the things we'd like to do, and part of that is to taking more steps to add more volume and trading and tools to the system, add wealth management to the system, add more listings of tokens, so that we give access and really exclusive access to some really good opportunities. And besides that, sort of bring the community closer together towards I guess building a more institutional kind of exchange. And in the medium term, I would like to see Blocktrade, or I hope to see that Blocktrade will become like a real financial institution. So from Dimitar, greetings from Macedonia. Thank you very much. Anonymous asks, who's the new CEO? What I can say currently is that the board of Blocktrade SA is still evaluating all options with regards to the CEO. I did mention earlier that there could be potential that I could join the position, not position, but take a more executive position within Blocktrade. These are things that we are evaluating now and trying to make best fit. One of the things is that I live in Asia, so my time is like 6 hours ahead of Europe, and then I also work in the US, which is 12 hours ahead. I mean 12 hours behind Asia. So it's a lot of time zones for me to go through, but we would like to see an injection of some fresh ideas, some fresh kind of thinking and ways of doing things. So we will be evaluating that very closely. And anonymous, we have, what about Class B shareholders? When will our dividends be paid out? This question, I'm unfortunately, it's going to be difficult for me to answer this because I'm not 100% familiar at this point with regards to dividends or what was mentioned in the past. What I can say is that, you know, I'm sure normally with regards to dividends, there are certain conditions that are set, and these things would have been spelled out potentially in a prospectus. Perhaps you can refer to that, and if I have any more information on this in the future, I will help to disseminate that. Anonymous asks, have you found any new fields where we can operate, or is there a change in the development strategy? Yeah, of course. I mean, part of my presentation is to evaluate that, and I see that there are a lot of new fields where Blocktrade can operate. I mean, to become something like the size of a UBS or you know, something like that, this is obviously takes a lot of time and building. So that's a vision that we can foresee. And that's really where I would like to see an opportunity for Blocktrade in the future. As far as the change in development strategy, I think it's not so much a change in the strategy, but an attitude. So the attitude is more towards something that is more, I would say, transparent and maybe use the word sober, that practical. I like to think that I'm a very practical person. So it's not so much a change in the development strategy, but a change in the attitude of how we approach the development. As far as any anonymous asks, any new interesting partnerships? Well, I'd like to think I'm a very interesting partner. So anyone who would like to have a look at that, you can have a look through my LinkedIn or anything like this. And if there's anything I can do for any of you guys, please do let me know. But yeah, I like to think I'm a very interesting partner in terms of business, in terms of many areas, and we have a lot of our network all over the world. Will Blocktrade be based in Asia now? This is not our intention. I think what we're trying to do is to maintain a European-centric, and that's what I mentioned in the slides, a European-centric, European-regulated financial institution that also has outreach in other parts of the world. So like most of the big European institutions also operate in Asia, in US, and everywhere else. So I don't believe that there will be a change in that. Anonymous asks, what will you do to get new users? That's a good question. I think one of the things is that opening up different markets, looking at potentially different licenses in different areas will allow us to onboard. And this is something that we really would like to look at looking at taking licenses up in emerging markets. So less established markets, which can really bring on new people that are used to Web3, that grew up with Web3, and I think that will change the game when it comes to putting new users on. The other thing is also looking at enabling a different kind of marketing sort of plan, and I think that has to be something of a focus as well. As I mentioned, it's more like it's a more practical, stable sort of outlook. So therefore, I think when you advertise to people like this, I think what happens in the Web3 world is that a lot of people tend to try to be very I wouldn't say childish, but they like to be anti-establishment, decentralization, da 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 da. I think this sounds very nice, and it's great for some kind of like a 100x moonshot type stuff. But really, people want to see stability. They want to see trustworthiness, transparency in the things that they do. So I think this can be something that can help us. Martin asked, what do you want to do with the BTEX token? And this is a very good question. Again, I'm spending my time to assess all of the things that happened in the past. I can think right now of a couple of very exciting potential things that we can do with BTEX. And one of the things that again, going back to the first slide, I've been involved in massive online gaming since 1997. So that really tells you like how old old man I am. So basically, I think there's still good opportunities with this. Although this will take time. I'm also cognizant, or I recognize that that BTEX is something that has existed and built over a while. There are different holders of the token and things like this, and things that happened in the past. What we'll try to do is see a really good use case for this. Although at the moment, it's important for me to get a grasp and understanding of what Blocktrade as an institution is going to look like. Anonymous says, "Welcome to Blocktrade, Sam. Thank you, and I feel welcome. Thank you very much." Anonymous asks, clarification on meeting participants, current group or new group. Are we speaking today with someone from the new group that is acquiring the company? As I mentioned before, I'm currently a director of Blocktrade, together with one of the pre-existing directors. So as far as current or new group, I come in here to actually deal with the day-to-day things first. As far as acquiring and these things are concerned, obviously, we like what we see, and we would like to make something happen. Just as a bit of a background on this, what I like to do in business is that we like to enter into things that we see are good, have good user bases, and we like to create liquidity events. Liquidity events meaning public listing or trade sales or any of these types of things. But usually, in my past experience, especially in private equity, we go into something that has had a little bit, I wouldn't say, I would say maybe a little bit lost. And so we see a little bit of that, and we try to get it back on track. In the case of Blocktrade, we want to make sure that also that the entire community, I know that there have been thousands of people who have invested in B-class shares, and that these people are anxious and obviously want to see what they can do going forward with this. And we're trying to provide opportunities for these people to contribute towards that. I wouldn't say that I'm a person here to come and click my fingers and make some miracles happen. Realistically, the community and the people need to help themselves too. What I can do is I can provide a really good pathway. I have this I like to think of a fantastic network in pretty much all areas, especially in investment banking. So I can provide the pathway, I can provide the support for that, and that's what we're hoping to do. Anonymous says, we are very happy to have you on board. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Anonymous asks, when and how will we get the shares we bought in the past? If I did have a discussion on this earlier today. I think there was a very small fundraiser earlier this year or late last year. I think there may be some share issuances that are going to happen through that. And I think there was talk about different opportunities to maybe put the share register on blockchain. This is something that I had a look at when I was in Tallinn, although we still have to see what makes sense. Currently, there is a share register that's maintained internally, and I'm going to look into that as well. Generally, I've been more used to public transfer agents. And what happens is that we issue share certificates, and there are regulated and I would say approved share transfer agents that can help with these types of things. And what that does is it takes that out of the hands specifically of the company. And that's one of the first steps towards going to be a real, a real public entity. Anonymous asks, transition and new management timeline. When will the transfer to the new management be completed? Are there any anticipated delays? Impact. How will the change in management affect the company's strategic direction, daily operations, and key business relationships? Look, I think this is a fantastic question. It covers a lot of points. What I'd like to say is that my current role is as a director. In some ways, you would consider this as a non-executive director. I do have more than one full-time job, so I have about 3. Although what it is that I see this like a fantastic potential in Blocktrade, and I see a fantastic potential in the community. So that's why I see and I love to be in Europe. I love to be around European people. I spend a lot of time in Europe. So who knows? I think what will happen is that we will see a transfer in the next short while. Obviously, we keep everyone updated. At the moment, what I'm doing is overseeing these things, and I think I'm a pretty efficient and professional person to do this. How will the change in the management affect the company's strategic direction? I think I've mentioned a few of these things earlier in some of the questions that I've answered. I think that for me, Blocktrade wants to set itself apart. And you have to set yourself apart in a practical way, in a way that can generate revenue, that can generate trust, and I see the potential going from there. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, we'll move back onto that. Anonymous asks, new leadership. Who are the key members of the new management team? What are their qualifications and what are their plans for the company? Well, as I just mentioned before, I'm just a director in Blocktrade SA, but I'm taking on more, I would consider, executive roles. My qualifications, I have a degree in computer science. I majored in neural networks and cryptography. I have an unfinished law degree, unfinished MBA. I have run multiple public listed companies. I've taken many companies public. I've been involved in private equity, family offices, property development. You name it, I've tried it. So every stupid thing you can imagine, I've been involved in. So the plans that I would have would be just to a mixed mash of these things, but really on the focus of my experiences in traditional finance, and traditional finance in the sense of institutions, and although dealing with assets that are non-traditional. And thinking in non-traditional ways. So recently, I think we've seen also the success of Revolut, companies such as this. I think these are really good opportunities for financial institutions in going forward in a new way of thinking. Okay, Anonymous asks, what about Sky2 payment? This is a good question. I happen to know some of the people at Sky2. Some of the important people at Sky2, I would guess, and this is something that is ongoing. And while we're sort of assessing all the opportunities that Blocktrade has on offer, Sky2 is one of the things that came up, and I've seen it in the past discussions, and this is something that we would not discontinue and we would pursue in the future. So if there's a good opportunity for that, as I mentioned in the application side of things, payment is very important for us. So we'll see that. Okay, so Anonymous asks, the bridge to Asia, super news, Blocktrade to NASDAQ. Well, we hope so. We'll try our best. But I have to say, we're going to need the community support, because what's happened is that to do this, Blocktrade has to transform itself. To transform itself, the community, the way that we interact with each other, the support from the community. I mean, a lot of people, thousands of people, I've seen the share register. Thousands of people have come in to build something fantastic, and what we're going to try to do, hopefully, if given the opportunity, is to give a chance for the community to come in and really achieve a vision for the future and be part of something really, really great. But it's not going to be an overnight, sort of situation. So we'll see. Yeah. Anonymous says, welcome, Sam. Thank you. Again, I feel welcome. Eric asks, why did you decide to buy Blocktrade? Well, this is an interesting thing. I mean, I again, going back to this, I saw that there's just a great potential. There's most of the great financial institutions that we have seen have European roots, yet the only really big institutions in crypto are non-European. You know, obviously the biggest one is Binance, and then we're talking about Coinbase. All these other guys, they're non-European. So I think there's just that kind of opportunity. Although I see that the energy for Web3 is in Asia, because Asia is a new yet old place. So there's been thousands of years of civilization in Asia, but the coming into sort of like the global markets and things like that, Asia has really risen up together with the rise of, let's say, China as well. So we also know that a large part of the cryptocurrency market, Web3, is China-based, Asian-based. So I see just the fantastic opportunities in the connection between Asia and Europe, with a stop in the Middle East. So that's something we took into consideration when we decided to do what we've done. Anonymous says, I noticed cigars in the background. Nice collection. Thanks. Yeah, this is some of the ones I keep in the room. I have a nice big humidor. I usually only like Cubans, like Monte Cristo, Cohipas. I don't know. I got Hoyo de Monterrey. I got with Churchill's, Romeo and Juliet. I like all of them. So mostly Cubans. I don't really like Dominicans and things like that. So thanks for noticing. Okay, Anonymous asks, financial health and future plans, financial stability. Can you provide an update on the company's financial position during this transition? Are there any risks to liquidity or profitability? And business strategy, what are the immediate and long-term business strategies? Okay, so you're asking all the really, really hard questions. I see that we've only got 12 minutes, so I'll be very fast on this. As far as the financial health and stability, these are things that are, I guess, on a day-to-day basis, they can be changing, good or bad. What we are trying to do here is stabilize the situation, make sure that that this company carries on for the benefit of the people that have contributed so much to it. This is not an issue of like trying to do some kind of grab or any of those areas. So during this transition, I mean, my role is to be here to stabilize this, to assess everything carefully and understand what's going on, and provide some kind of, I would say, anchor stabilization to this whole thing. And rest assured that as our time moves on, we will be able to not only update to the team, the community, but also look at how the community can help with this sort of situation. When you say, are there risks to liquidity or profitability? I think realistically, Blocktrade is still relatively new. I would say it's a startup kind of company. So there's always inherent potential risks in these types of situations. Although to mitigate those risks, what you need is experience, network, capabilities, credibility. So I hope that I'm able to bring some of these to the table to bring a stabilizing force to this. Anonymous asks, impact on shareholders, Class B shareholders. Can you confirm that Class B shareholders were not affected by the sale or transfer of Class A shares? I can't give you a definitive answer on this, but I don't foresee that any negative impact on the Class B shareholders. In fact, I would foresee a positive impact on the Class B shareholders in this exercise. Again, of course, don't take this as a guarantee, but I don't foresee that. In actual fact, the point of us being here is to stabilize and provide a pathway to the future for these Class B shareholders. And I've always believed in being part of the community. I mean, that's why I run public companies. We're there. I'm a very big believer in what we call fiduciary duty, which is putting the company, the people in front of yourself. So I don't foresee it. Although don't record this and say, hey, Sam said this. Martin asks, is there a Blocktrade card coming in the near future where you can shop with your crypto like BTEX? Well, I can think of one potential way. for this to happen. And I would say that I would like to see probably even something better than this. I have good connections to traditional finance institutions, things like this. I would say that one of those things also goes into very big payment providers. I meet with CEOs of large payment providers, global payment providers often. So who knows what will happen in the future. Anonymous asks, I'm a shareholder of the very first round of investors. There were some problems of the transfer from Global Shares platform to the Blocktrade platform. When this will happen finally? I'm assuming this is talking about potentially the tokenization of the shares. When I was in Tallinn, I did look briefly at this. What I will say is that this is something that I have to look into more closely. It's not something that I've been very familiar with in the past, as in the legality and, well, not just the legality, but the logistics of tokenization of shares. I've more normally dealt with standard share registers, of which Global Shares is one of them. We will look into this and provide updates. I'll put this down in my notes, mental notes. Okay. Anonymous asks, operational continuity, service continuity. What steps are being taken to ensure that platform continues to operate seamlessly during and after the transition? Well, I mean, I've been a board member for a little bit of time right now, and as far as I'm aware, the platform is continuing to run. So hope that answers the question. Anonymous asks, reassurance on information, official communication. How can shareholders ensure they're receiving the most accurate and timely information while official channels of communication? I think as we move forward, the Telegram chat is going to be a really good opportunity for this. And if there's others, I'm very well versed with investor relations. As I said, this is something I do every day, so we'll see about that. I have no problems with being transparent. Okay, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to the next AMA. No, it could be earlier than October. Smiley face asks, are Hermes, Brambat, and Fried Kasik part of the team and the owners? All I can say is I don't know these people. I've not met them, so I cannot comment on that. But I have not met them in my time, and they're not involved with me as my time as a director. I have Armata. Great to have you here, Sam. Future looks bright. I hope so too. I hope I will do this company justice. Marcus, greetings from Estonia. You seem to be a smart working man. I believe our community is happy about new Blocktrade management team. Well, I hope so. Thank you very much for the nice comments. Anonymous says, great to have you on board, Sam. Welcome to Blocktrade. Wish us lots of success. I hope so too. Anonymous asks, thanks for the AMA. We've been waiting a long time to hear some news. Love the energy and ideas you're bringing, but why has it taken so long? It's difficult for me to comment why it's taken so long. Unfortunately, what I can say is that I'm here to try and, support these matters now. I'm a person who likes to do things until, where it should go. So here I am. Anonymous asks, is there any chance of having an AMA more often? Why not? I'm happy to do so. In actual fact, I will plan someone, and this has just been an initial thing. There are more topics that I'd like to bring up. I've seen very good feedback on some of these things, so we'll know what to do next. Will Blocktrade have another STO in the future, or will be issued more Class B shares? STO, I'm assuming, is a financing round. This is something we're assessing and evaluating. It's quite possible. I mean, I don't want to for multiple reasons, many of which are towards building towards these financial institution things. When the time comes, I think we'll talk about this a bit more, and issued more Class B shares. If there are financing in the future, I think this would be something in the form of equity rather than tokens or anything like that. Anonymous asks, what are the main risks associated with the management transition, and how is the company mitigating them? I think the main risks during this kind of a time are related to loss of information, related to incorrect handovers, related to communication issues. And I think, look, I think these are mitigated by having a very competent and experienced team. I would like to think that I have a very competent and experienced team, and I myself am a very competent and experienced person. And this is not to just talk well about myself, but I think this is just the facts. So mitigate them really by not doing stupid things for me, common sense things. In the meantime, this whole process has been handled with a lot of professionals from both my side and also the side of Blocktrade. And what I've done is I would like to say contrary to my standard method of operation. I've really felt for the community here, especially the Class B shareholders and everything. I really feel for you guys, and I see you guys talking and the energy you have. So I have inserted myself here to try and stabilize and make sure everything is good, which is not what I would normally do in a situation like this. So I think that's one of the really big mitigation sort of strategies. Anonymous says, great AMA, great news, Sam. How are we able to support you and Blocktrade to go to the moon? I will come up with that in the next weeks, but I think I can think of a few really fantastic things. If we would like to see this happen, I can think of really just all sorts of ideas. I wanted first to come to you guys with offerings of information, with offerings about myself, share a little bit about myself before I ask anything from. I like to be a person that doesn't ask. I like to be a person that gives. Anonymous says, we're sitting on a mountain of gold. Thanks, Sam. Well, I hope so. I hope so. I really do. Valdas says, why here are writing only anonymous? I wonder too. I wonder too why everyone's anonymous. Maybe people just didn't type in their names. Anonymous says, thanks for your time. Have a good evening. Yes, I'll try to. I've got to go to work in the morning. Anonymous says, with you together the moon. Thanks that you're here. Thank you too as well. So we're almost out of time. I think we have maybe 1-2 more questions. Smiley Face asks if I'm in the Telegram group. Yes, I am. You could see that I commented on one of the chats there. So yeah, I'm there, and no problem for me to speak. If you want to contact me, probably the best way can be sometimes LinkedIn, because I get a lot of messages as well. I will try to get to everyone. If they do contact me, I'm more than happy not only to speak to people, but to help if I can in any way possible. Although do respect a little bit that I'm also quite a busy person because of the roles that I hold. Symbol, I don't know what else to call it. Is there a timetable for the next steps? We're making steps every day. What I can say is that I'm not a person to leave things. I've been working the minute I came back from Europe. I was working the whole time I was in Europe when I was visiting the offices and visiting partners and shareholders and things like that. So this is not something that we wait for. Aaron, let's go. Yes, it's good to see you here. I had the privilege and pleasure of meeting Mr. Meldani when I was in Europe, and I hope to see him again soon. I've invited him to visit us here in Asia, and I would invite everyone the opportunity to visit Asia if you have not. Maybe we can organize a nice conference or something like that, and we can have a Blocktrade conference, maybe a general meeting. Heiko says, very good answers. Thank you. I've tried to cover everything. I'm not hidden anything or anything like that. If we can answer something, we will. And yeah, we'll take things from there. From Goran, regards from Macedonia. Blocktrade has a strong community here. Welcome to Blocktrade, Sam. Thank you very much for welcoming me, and I hope I don't disappoint anyone. So I think that's probably about it for us. I'd like to thank everyone for giving me your time after work. Hope everyone had a nice day at work. Now it's time to have a beer or a gin and tonic or a glass of wine or whatever makes you happy after work. For me, I'm back to emails. US is still open for another 3 hours. My trading market is still open. And like I said, on the first slide, if you want to add me on LinkedIn, you can add me, or you can look for me, Sam Tan, under BGLC, and we'll talk a bit more about what we can do. Who knows, maybe I'll hold an AMA again very soon. This is one of the first sort of things. Do spread the word. And yeah, let's take things from there. Thank you all very much, and good evening to you all.